Hey, what's up guys? I think we're live here. Just need to verify a few things before we officially kick off the thing here. Alright, so I wanted to launch Helix Edit. I need to have up my Kemper command thing, which may or may not work. I may have plugged that in incorrectly, so I may not have direct access to the Kemper. I possibly plugged that in incorrectly. Oh, it's all plugged in right there. So let's verify a few things and then we'll get started. What's up guys? Welcome to my stream here. Going to be one of my second live streams I've done. And one of the things I talked about in my previous like wanting to do's, right, is I wanted to integrate the Kemper into the Helix, right? So yeah, we're definitely live right now. And so as you can see, we got Helix in the background here. This is Helix Edit. We're running the Kemper through the Helix right now. So here's how my rig is working. Basically, let me fix something real quick. Let me pull myself down there. There we go. So I'm out of the way. So here's what we got. We got guitar going into guitar N. We're in Helix Edit. I'm using my Helix LT, which is right here to the right down here, and then the Kemper's up. Maybe I should have the camera on the LT itself. I have some cabling going on here. I probably should have made better sense of my cables before I got live streamed going, but nonetheless, here we are. So here's my LT, right? Yeah, so there's the LT, and there's my laptop. So the LT is running as an effects loop, the Kemper, right? So as you can see, I've created my little own toaster preset here, and the toaster preset goes, volume pedal, then a couple of dynamic things, because when I first started messing with getting the Kemper into the Helix, I had a lot of electronic noise going on there, and I don't know exactly what it was, but I was able to isolate some of it. But so I had a lot of noise gates up to kind of help. Then I have like the actual it's an effects send, right? So effects send out, so like effects send 1 to the Kemper in the back using the alternate input, and then effects return 1 from the Kemper main out into the Helix. And so that is one block. And then right after that, I had, as you can see on the screen here, I had a another noise gate, and then one of my tricks, which I split the path, right? So I went from amplifiers, tube amplifiers, straight into Helix about June last year, Helix LT that is, and there's things, being a guitar amp guy, that you kind of, tricks and tips that you remember from your analog and tube days. And so one of them is having 2 signals, right? If you have 2 signals running, if you duplicate your track in a DAW or recording situation, 2 tracks, you get more sound, right? And so that's essentially what we're doing here. So we're running in volume, a couple of dynamics, a distortion pedal, which is, I believe, the scream, right? The amp itself in the effects loop, and then another dynamic. Split the tracks with the dynamic on right here. So in my headphones, when I turned that on, I immediately heard a difference. So there is still some sound issues I have going on. Anyways, so I split the tracks, and I both have paths to go into 2A, right? Which is the first lower track right there. And then so what I put in there is an IR, and that's just for giggles, right? Incidentally, the reason why I wanted to have the Helix into the Kemper into my Helix is so that I can have an IR. Being an IR snob, I guess, is what they call people like me. I really am not too big of a fan of the actual Kemper IRs. And that's, for me, right, like one of the things is I grew up using combo amps and then also 4x12s and having, you know, certain type of speakers, certain brand of speaker in them, and that's my tone, right? And so for me, having a 4x12 is something that I pretty much, I have to have that sound. Like, that's my sound. So spent a lot of time buying IRs when I first got my Helix because I hated all the cabs that came with it originally, and I landed on the Rosen Digital EDS amp and just the EVH 5150 amp IR. So when we switch back and forth between IRs, between the cabinet simulation on the Kemper to the actual IR and my Helix, which is, you know, roughly the same IR, we'll be able to hear the differences between them. And so some of the advantages of having and using your own IRs is that you can always get your sound, and you're never stuck to someone's interpretation of what a good amp sounds like, and which is always subjective. Because let's face it, everybody has a certain amount of hearing loss, right? We all have our certain amount of hearing loss and frequencies that we are no longer hearing, and I know I totally suffer from that, right? And so my IR ideal, right, let's just say it's right here, may not be what you're used to, right? And when you hear my IR ideal, you may think, oh man, that sounds like too nasally, or too mid, or too high, right, or too much low, which is fine, you know, and to each his own. And that's the flexibility awesomeness of these two platforms, the Helix and the Kemper, is that you can have your own IRs. And so one of the things I did before this morning, actually, before we got to the live stream now, is I had loaded a bunch of IRs onto a stick drive and then stuck it in the back of my Kemper and loaded those into my Kemper. So now I actually do have my IRs in the Kemper. So So we're using Tone Junkie's latest J mod, and this is the number 4 little profile thing, and this is like a sample that he teased out on his on the Kemper P&W Praise and Worship Kemper group, right, on Facebook. So this is like a sample. He teased out number 4 and number 6, and these two are very cool presets, profiles. So what's the point, right? Like, what's the point of having your Kemper running through your Helix? So what? Okay, so I will say this, okay? The Kemper is the most amazing product out there for amp sim, amp rig sound, okay? There's nothing that comes even remotely close to this. The amp sims in the Helix and all that stuff and everyone else, they're cool, you know, great. But they are not what the Helix is, okay? Holy crap, have I had my audio doubled this whole time? No, I guess not. Good deal. Yeah, they are not what the Helix is, okay? And the Helix is its own beast. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that we're making a profile of an amp, and if you ever like watch videos on how we make our profiles, right? Like, it is worth the 10 or 15 minutes time that you're going to spend doing that, just to watch and understand what's going on here. Because when you're messing with the Kemper setup and the whole profile thing, we're not talking about like, oh, this is what I think a Marshall sounds like, or oh, this is what I think a Fender Blues Deluxe sounds like. No. We're not doing any of that, okay? There's no interpretation, really. What we're doing with the Kemper thing is we're running like signals through an amp. It's like the real amp, and like they sound like, I don't know, just electronic signal impulses, and just like these, you know, like Morse code type situation going on there, measuring internally through microphones back into the Kemper, you know, or through your board, whatever, to get a sound. And what you get with the Kemper, and I know this is all elementary and you guys know this, but what you get when you do that is the actual amp. And so this is why you use a Kemper, okay? Right? This is why you use a Kemper. A Kemper is the amp, essentially. As good as it's going to get, right? Like, I'm never going to have the money to buy the PRS J-Mod amp, right? The John Mayer amp, which is this amp sim. I'll never have the money to buy that amp. Potentially, you know, $1,000 amp, like $5,000, $4,000, who knows? And so the best thing for someone like me is to just have a just to have the profile, right? So having profiles is immensely more cheaper than having a bunch of amps, right? Like you watch Tone King, and Tone King has all these amps, right? And that's crazy. And I'm not like bashing Tone King, man. I'm not like talking smack. What I'm saying is I don't have that kind of money. I can't have a wall of Marshalls behind me. I don't have the room for that, you know. And even then, I live in an apartment, so like I'll never be able to crank it until I get a house. So like having the rich, that golden layer of tone that you get from a real amp and the big tone and all that ain't gonna happen. So gotta have a Kemper, because in my opinion, this is just me talking, I do not like the way amp sims. And so when we talk about vocabulary here, there's profiles and there's sims. Sims, in my opinion, suck. But the only thing that can help a sim is having a good IR. Having good IRs helps sims, and that at least makes the Helix and other products like it doable, right? Having IRs. And for me, an EVH IR, right? Like that's just the sound in my head. And so what you're hearing right now is the Tone Junkie profile of the JMod number 4 in the series of all his profiles running through my IR inside of the Kemper itself right now, which is a like Ed's amp on the cone, edge of the cone. And I love that. That to me is like the most golden tone ever. Okay, so you know, with all that introduction done, what's going on, guys? I just wanted to explain to you like the reason why, what we're doing here, and then of course we're going to talk about Namm. And I wanted to kind of just go through all this right off the bat so that we could, you know, maybe have a couple of comments, you know, I don't know. And Daniel Barber, what's up? Baber, what's up, man? Thanks for joining me. I'm really interested in what you guys think about Namm, right? Some of the things that came out in Namm. And so let's just take it from the bottom. Marshall has a new amp, the Origin amp, which is great. And of course their new DSLR. And I think I saw a DSL amp, like a 1 watt DSL amp. I think I saw that, a Marshall 1 watt. So they're returning to the small micro heads, the 1 watt heads with a low power mode, which is like probably 0.1 watt, which was like, in my opinion, in the last 5 or 6 years, or let's, yeah, 3 to 5 years, the 1 watt heads that Marshall made, I think those are the 50th anniversary amps, like for the JMP, the JTM, the DSL, the JCM, and the JVM. Those all 1 watt heads were the best thing Marshall has made in 5 or 6 years, besides the JVM, the actual real JVM before that, right? And for like the last couple of years, I haven't seen any innovation coming out of Marshall. And like most other guitar companies, one of the things Marshall did and released this Namm 2018 is the Origin amp, which is great because the code, I'm not even considering that like an innovation, or, and I've played them, I've listened to them, and I don't like them. You might as well get a Spider. Just didn't like the Marshall code. It just wasn't digging with me. But with that being said, the Origin is their return to roots, as they say. So like, what is it, a single channel amp or something like that with dual gain stages? Like a pull pot or something like that to go to high treble mode or high gain mode. Yeah, totally cool. Like that is what Marshall should have done 3 or 4 years ago. But they need to make that in a small 1 watt configuration, you know, like sub 10 watt amp, because people like me, which I would be willing to guess are probably a majority of the customer base, you know, people like me who don't have $5,000 to buy amps and don't have an amphitheater or a stadium to play through with a, you know, a 100 watt head. You know, people like me who just live in apartments or live in houses, have limited time, limited resources, like only got like $700 of cash to throw down on an amp or something like that. Having a smaller amp configuration is more right-sided. So that's one of the new things from Marshall is the Origin. And I saw like they had like a, was it a 5 or 10 watt small combo? I might try to get that. And one of the cool things about it is they added the effects loop. Definitely got to have an effects loop with a Marshall of that type of with that level, because not having an effects loop makes delays and reverbs very awkward. And Some people, like, they don't care, right? Like, they'll run their delay in front of the amp, which I think is absolutely weird. Yeah. So, hey, Mr. Baber, did you see any of the Namm coverage, man? Like, were you watching anything? Let me know what you think. And so let's get to the real big one, right? Is the new Line 6 FX. So it's the what's the Helix FX? Is that what that's called? The Helix FX, I think, or the Line 6 HT FX. I don't know what it is, right? Anyways, it's a small, like 6 preset looking half Helix, right? And it's got all of the effects in there, and including the IR. And so dovetailing with what I'm doing here, right, with a full-on Helix LT running effects send out to my Kemper, then back through an IR on the Helix LT, and then out to my interface. You could probably do that with the Helix effects, right? So the Line 6 Helix effects, you should be able to do that. So if you have a Kemper, just get you the Line 6 Helix effects and run an IR through that, and an effects send, etc. And then you could have really world-class effects before, after, and inside your amp, your Kemper, and out. And the reason why you want to do that is because when I bought my Kemper, I did not get the pedal board thing. And I've looked at the pedal board thing, and I don't like the pedal board thing. I think it looks kind of inferior, considering I already own a Helix. And so I am literally using my Helix in place of a Kemper pedal board and accomplishing basically everything I need to, because all I need my Kemper to do is make amp sim, right? Make amp sim, make amp profile as a block like you would a Helix block in Helix Edit here, and then run my Helix effects all around it, right? And that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm running this, and that's what I'm doing here. So with that being said, with the Helix effects module with your Kemper, you get a floorboard control. And I don't know if the Helix effects module will have access to this Helix edit that I'm running on screen that you see in the background here. This whole Helix edit thing is what a lot of us Kemper owners are mad at Kemper about, is that there isn't a computer editor. In fact, the only editor out there is this third-party editor called Toaster, and it's finicky, right? I mean, it's a great program. I'm not talking smack. I'm not saying it's bad. There's nothing wrong with this. But like, then you run into situations like with me right now in front of this live stream. I didn't spend enough time making sure I had the in and the out and the out and the in, or the in and the out and the out and the in. I didn't make, and so now I don't have access to my actual. So I'm going to have to reach over and turn things on the Kemper physically, which is annoying, but it's cool because I have my Helix here. I have my J mod, and we'll call it a day, right? Like. Let's see what I'm rocking. Probably my Elephant Man. No, it's a transistor tape delay, which is a great delay. That one and the Elephant Man are my two favorite delays. Drop my mouse. You watch Tom Quell and Martin Miller talk about the Ibanez AZs. Yeah, dude, I'm all over that Ibanez AZ series. I'm totally digging that. Like, I'm probably one of the only people who's interested in that, but I'm just not happy with the $1,500 price point. But I totally understand because there's like Japanese-made guitars. So yeah, of course they're $1,500 stupid dollars, right? Like, give me an Ibanez AB series that's Indonesian, that's like sub $700, and you got a deal, man. Honestly, sub $900. So yeah, we're rocking the Elephant Man. Let's see what we got for. Oh, I got double reverbs going. I got Hall and Plate, so that's why it's so super lush. Let's hear it dry. Let's hear everything dry. And you know, for you guys who maybe don't have a Helix, so this is very literally just a Kemper, right? And then like my EQ, and then my a noise gate right in there, and then my optical trim. My optical trim is a Helix secret for me. not so secret, but if you run Opti trim on one of your output streams or the very last block of your single mono output stream, put the speed and the rate at 1 and 1, right? Speed and intensity at 1 and 1. Especially when you have like reverbs going, like it really does something to the tone. And so one of the things I actually like to do is I'll run a reverb in this line and then a delay in that line. Yeah, using the double streams, right? Like you're able to get a really just righteous tone, man. Like absolutely, totally killer. Yeah. No, I do have that reverb kind of cranked. In my EQ block here, I just have like some of the mud taken out, essentially, like at the very bottom, the low cut at 160. And because I'm using these P90s on this Squire, I think it's a vintage modified, or it might be a classic vibe, 60s Jazzmaster, right, with upgraded pickguard and a different set of bridge here. Everything else is stock. The pickups are all stock. How's that sound? Yeah. The most you spent on is an Ibanez JS. Yeah, the Satriani guitars are amazing. I always wanted that chrome one, and then they re-released it this year, which was really cool. So that's another thing from Namm 2018 is the new Satriani Chrome Boy. That guitar, I think it's a 30th anniversary. Oh my gosh. I'm definitely a huge Ibanez fan. I mean, I've always been an Ibanez fan. Although the last few guitars I've come across recently are guitars that I've pieced together myself. So like this Tele, that Strat, the pink Telecaster over there. I pieced all those together, just sourced parts and put them together. Like eBay all the parts necessary. Like so, like Franken Strats. So Daniel, do you have a Helix or a Kemper, man? Are you into any of this kind of modeling stuff? I got a couple more Strats here that I've pieced together. I'm working on another Jazzmaster, actually a pink Jazzmaster. I'm working on another Strat. Well, you can't see it in the camera, but I got this really cool blue Paisley Strat that I'm working on. I got the neck, the body, the pick guard, all the pickups, all the electronics. I just got to buy the hardware, so like the actual bridge, and then probably like some tuning keys, like some really nice locking tuning keys. Yeah, budget Ibanez are, and that's one of the things I've said on a lot of my previous videos, was that budget guitars now are as good as 700 guitars back in the 90s when I first started picking up guitar. Because back then, a budget guitar was like a crappy harmony that came out of like a catalog, right? Like a Sears catalog or something like that. There was one, what was the thing? Just not, like Fenders, there just wasn't budget guitars out there. And that's what I'm saying, right? So like budget guitars these days are totally awesome. And for people like me who are not going to get on stage, who are not going to do anything other than sit here on YouTube, it's good enough for me. This guitar just rings like a bell acoustically, man. Jeez. So Daniel, you play it at church. Pod X HD 500, cool. What are you saying, Turkey? That you like this sound that we're hearing now? Because I'm using Helix effects, and literally the Kemper is this right here. This effects loop right there. That is literally the Kemper, and I backed off the send in to return just so it doesn't clip on the way out and on the way in. That's cool, Daniel. You played at church today. Your Satch, man. I bet that's a lot of fun. Back in the 90s, man, in like 96, 7, 8, 9, 2000, at my church that I played at back when I was a churchgoer, we were transitioning because like we had 3 services. We had like an organ and like an organ and a choir and a hymnal service, and then we created like this contemporary service like at 9, which was guitars and drums and like, you know, like what you guys call like Hillsong today and Bethel music, right? We were doing that back in 97, and back then I literally used a Marshall half stack. I don't know if you can see it in the shop, but I have my VS100 and a half stack with my dime bolt guitar. I literally did that, and I had a black LP Epiphone with EMGs in it. I used to play my Jackson Rhodes. I had my Ibanez, my green Ibanez USA Custom over here. I used to play at the church. But yeah, we were doing a lot of that back then, and it was so cool. But you know, I went to college and all that stuff, got jobs, and you know, just kind of walked away from the church life, and so I haven't been back in the game. Incidentally, though, this year we had gone to, or last year, like in December or November, my wife and I had gone to her sister's church because she was going to have her baby baptized, right? And so we're in there, and thank God they was at the contemporary service, and they had it going, man. They had a dude with a Kemper, a dude with a Helix, a drummer in like a plexiglass room that to isolate the drum, and dude on like the lead guy playing like a 12-string acoustic, and then, you know, some girls singing in the background. It was really cool, man. Like, I'm so happy that church has turned into that, because that attracts people in our demographic, right? Like, so let's say the sub 40, 50-year-old type, right? We're like really into that. We're into the lights, the sound, the smoke, you know. Some of the churches go a little overboard with it, you know. I think it's kind of jokish, like coming out there in ripped jeans and, you know, the popped collar and I'm just not a rock star. This is church. This isn't about you, right? In fact, maybe the church should make some of the musicians like down in a pit, so that it's not about the musician, it's not about your ego, it's not about who you are, it should be about the message, right? Like, anyways, yeah, Daniel, I have a Holcomb, the Brisket Burst. I have one up on the wall, actually. Let me show you. I can tell you what, I'll just put my lens over. I have like a wide angle lens. Yeah, here we go. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, there's my Holcomb Burst right there, and then there's my my USA Ibanez Custom right over right there. Then here's one of my my Chipsons. It's actually a PRS Grissom Gold. And then here's one of my Ibanez. That's an RG3 XXV, right? Let's see if I can raise the camera a little bit. Yeah, and then there's my Jim Jr. right there. Yeah, there's a Holcomb Burst. And then beyond it, if I turn the camera a little bit, yeah, there's my purple Strat that I'm building on right here. It's a purple Strat. The neck is bad. I got to get a different neck. And then my other classic vibe, vintage modified, like 50s or 60s Strat, like the Tobacco Burst guitar. I have that right there. Yeah, the Brisket Burst. Isn't that good stuff, man? I love that. I love that guitar, man. That's such an amazing guitar. Like, the tones and the neck, everything about that Brisket Burst is perfect, you know? The only thing I would like to see them do in the SE, because that's the SE, right? The Asian model, is I would like them to do the flat finish, because I don't like a gloss. I like a flat. I mean, what do you think about that? Would you like to see the SE in a flat? Like, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, so we're rocking a J mod. This is the Tone Junkie little sample thing from the Tone Junkie the Kemper Praise and Worship Facebook group, which is a cool group. And this is number 4. I have in the actual Kemper itself just running the an EQ inside there, right, as one of the profile blocks, right, and that's just to kind of bring it up, you know, so it's not so woofy. And here's my DS1 pedal in the Kemper that I'm using. Yeah, let me know if it clips, all right, because I don't want to clip. I don't want to blow anyone's head off here. Really bright. Geez, yeah, that's really bright. Okay, here, let's do something. What I want to do is compare the IR, which is the same IR I have. Let's verify that. So my IR loaded in my Kemper is Ed's amp, Ed's Van Halen Cap Edge IR, and then what I have loaded in my Helix is Ed's amp, Van Halen Cap Edge impulse response. So. Yeah, really nice amp, yeah. I think the flat finished one is like the full-on PRS, right? Like a multi-$1,000 instrument, right? So what I want to do is just like compare apples to apples, right? So full disclosure here, I didn't know I could actually load IRs into my Kemper until last night when I Googled it. And I learned that you can load IRs into your Kemper, and that's all I wanted to do because I did not like everybody else's impulse cabinet, whatever, cab sim, because like I said, you're relying on someone else's idea of what a good tone sounds like. And like I said, you may not like my tone, and that's cool. I'm okay with it. But it cuts through the mix, I'll tell you that. Okay, so here we are. I don't want to kill anybody, but so this is Kemper cabinet, same IR, which is Ed's VH Cap Edge. We're gonna switch straight over to. Now we're in Helix IR, same IR. Oh man, there's a flat finished in the UK. Oh dude, I want that. But I'm happy with mine. It's a great guitar. You know, I've seen Periphery twice now. I saw him in Houston at the House of Blues, and I saw him in Dallas when we first moved here at the Gas Monkey Live. Right, I live in Dallas, Texas, Plano, Texas. And man, dude, Periphery's amazing live, right? Like that whole thing where I think they're using Axe-Effects, and now Misha has had on stage. The first time I saw him on stage, they didn't have any amps. That's how, you know, like a year or two ago. Then they released a new PV Invective amp. And the second time I saw him live, they have now amps on stage. And what I think Misha's doing there, man, is I think he's running the Axe-Effects through the like an effects return. And so I think, I don't know, I could be wrong, but my logic and my understanding of what they do with their Axe-Effects is they need an FRFR, right? They need a full range, you know, like non-colored tone. And so if I was them, I would do exactly what I'm about to say. Is I would create an amp that has a killer preamp section with multiple gain stages like the JVM, right? So I'd have a clean, like a glass, and then like a Fender crunchy, you know. But when you turn it up, it gets up to Vox territory. Then I'd have like a JCM, you know, like orange channel. And then the red channel will be full on, you know, 5150 Mesa Boogie, you know, ISF in between. That's how I would make an amp if I made an amp. So you can cover everything from, you know, glassy clean to like crunch, you know. and then like crazy, you know, into JCM Lin. I think I'm clipping. I'm sorry if I'm clipping. I don't mean to blow your ears up. But that's how I would design an amp. And then, you know, I would have in the MIDI control for all my like parameters, etc. I would have the option to like go in front, like input, and then use those gain stages and change channels with each patch, preset, scene, whatever, snapshot. And then I would alternatively have it where I could turn off the preamp and then use the effects send and just use my amp models that are inside my Helix or Kemper or Axe Effects like they do, and then run it through the power amp, which is crystal clean, into speakers. I think that's what they're doing. So if I was them, that's what I would be doing. Anyways, yeah, that's the PV Invective I'm talking about. Anyway, so let's crank up some gain here and let's actually do some fun stuff. Okay, what I need to do, so I'm using the actual IR now. So right, so my Kemper here is not using the IR at all. My Kemper is just running amp EQ and then another EQ and then straight into my Helix with this J mod profile. Okay, how do I change? Oh jeez. Yeah. Okay. So we are in amps. Yeah, I'm not trying to blow anyone up here. I'm trying to do this as quick and easy as possible. So same thing here. We're using the same IR, and now we're running JMod 106. So this is another tone junkie. So I think this is the same as number 4, but it's number 6 and has a little bit more gain to it, if I had to guess, right? A little bit more gain. Pretty cool stuff. Alright, let's go live. I'm messing around with my laptop here, sorry. Throwing some gain in from the scream on the Helix. Sounds a little boxy, eh? Doesn't it? Does it sound a little boxy? Or am I tripping? I just gotta turn my reverb off. Dirt. No reverb equals box. You know, I don't know how many of you guys pay attention to Helix stuff, but the way you have to run the Helix reverbs to get them to sound big and immersive and expansive is you have to like really mess with the I don't know if what I did is I didn't turn it on correctly. Okay, so here we are with the Helix, right? Using the Kemper as an amp block. And we're using reverbs in the Helix, which is, you know, by design what I'm here to do. But let's now turn off the effects in the Helix and let's just let's switch over to the IR in the Kemper, and let's run all my effects in Kemper. Oh, I love the way that sounds. Yeah, ever since I put my IR this morning, all my IR is into my Kemper. I'm just like, wow, yeah, I don't even need my Helix anymore. Well, I do. I need it to control the the post effects, right? One of the things I have right here is the scream pedal, and I, you know, kind of don't like it. It has a mid-profile character to it that I don't like, and this is one of the things, man. Like at one point, I probably had close to 200 pedals, you know, and I know that sounds really obscene. But you know how that goes, right? You're like you're on the Tone Quest, right? And you're looking for the right pedal sound, right? And I quickly learned after about 100 pedals that, wow, each pedal has a different mid-profile character, and some of them are ones that I don't necessarily care for. Perfect example is the Electro Harmonics drive pedals. Like almost all of them I don't like, and I had them all, right? Seriously, I really did, because they're priced so well, you know, so I was able to just buy them all over time. So we're using like the Helix equivalent of the you know, EP Boost. I have this pedal, and it's a great pedal, by the way. And I like the way that sounds in the J mod. Might turn a little bit more drive. I turned on my EQ there to kind of kill some of the lower frequencies. I want to turn up some of the gain on this Helix real quick. All right, yeah, let's go to like 4. Yeah, it's really pushing some low end frequencies big time, and you can hear up front the there we go. Check out the 2018 stain finish. All right, cool. Thanks, Daniel. I'll look at that here in a little bit. So this is just like the Kemper by itself, essentially. I mean, it's running through my Helix, and the only thing I'm running the Helix is an EQ, the modulation at the end, which is, you know, that in every single one of my Helix patches, there's always that little opti trim. So let's do something cool. Let's do something crazy. Let's go to let's take a look at, let's do some jam tracks. Do you mess around with jam tracks, Daniel? Big fan of the elevated jam tracks, man. They're some of the best out there, and you know, every once in a while I try to, every like other couple of nights, because I only get to play like 3 nights a week at my house, you know, just kind of jamming. I try to try a different key instead of A minor, but I'm not good enough to like just jump on right now. I can do good in E minor, I think, but like C minor or G minor, I'm just not that good yet. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm still in the process of, you know, like further development, you know, continuing education in guitar, right? Like I tried jamming this specific track right here, this A track. I dropped my mouse, sorry. And it was just really bad. It was really bad. Okay, I'm gonna turn off some of these effects on my Kemp. I'm gonna turn off the cab sim. We're gonna go straight to the cab sim and the Helix. I'm gonna turn my effects back on in the Helix. And so now we're working as intended. We're using Kemper through in the Helix and through the Helix, right? So we're gonna turn on some delay. I've got my Elephant Man. I got some Hall going. I had a lot of Hall. I need to kind of dial that back, I think. All right, now we got some jam track going on here. We'll turn off my drive. I need to set a hotkey to this drive. I got the scream and this kinky boost. I think I have a spot right there. Boom. That'll be you. Okay, so you're now my drive pedal. Yeah, right? Like, I mean, that's the cool thing about the Helix, is it's so intuitive. I mean, like, I don't have a touchscreen, but I don't need a touchscreen because integrated into my computer, I have a mouse. So, like, I can just do anything I want with my mouse and keyboard. And that's and Kemper doesn't have a user editor for the computer. And I've never messed with the Kemper floor pedal thing, but I'm not going to spend the $500 in it because I already have a $1,000 Helix, right? So play B minor 7th and E7 back and forth, and you can do B Dorian. Yeah, I'm not that good, man. I'm still learning all that stuff. You know, I'm still scrub guitarist, to be honest. All right, so let's mess around with a jam track. So do you mess around with these jam tracks, dude? Like these Elevated jam tracks? Like every time Elevated creates a new one, which is usually about daily, they make a new jam track. I have a playlist. It says right here, jam tracks, and I just load them up and go. You know, I just save them every day. So Hypnotic Metal Ballad, and then Soulful Hypnotic Groove. Just looking for something kind of safe and easy for me to play through, so I don't sound like too much of a terrible guitarist on, you know, live stream. Oh wow, I reached the bottom. Yeah, E minor, Seductive Blues. Yeah, this one might be good. I hope so too. You ever mess with these, dude? All right. Yeah, now you shred, huh? A lot of reverb, eh? Yeah, that's a lot of reverb. I'm okay with that tone. That's good. I feel like my guitar is louder than the actual jam track. What do you think? Sounds pretty good, huh? Kemper and a Helix, absolutely. It's a little bit overkill, to be honest. You know, I mean, one should be enough. And the cool thing is, with the new H effects, the Helix effects thing, whatever that's coming out from Line 6. You know, if you have a Kemper, which I highly advise people get a Kemper. Because once you get into amp sims, if that's good enough for you, then it's good enough for you. But it wasn't for me, and I struggled with my Helix because every single patch sounded the same or really bad. And I'm sure the reason why is because I'm using the same IR. So this is a J-Mod from Tone Junkie. I want to mess around with this Sonic Pope Clean. All right, hope I don't blow up. This is from the Tone Junkie, like the dual amp patches that they created, and they're really, really awesome, man. Like the A Sonic Pope, the Sonic Pope 1 and 2. There's a whole bunch in there that are just like totally, really, really awesome, man. Great sounding presets in there. The Tone Junkie guys do a good job. But if you went and like bought this patch and ran it through your Kemper, it's not going to sound like mine does, because now I've already modified the cabinet that I'm using, and the cabinet that I'm using is actually, like I said, that that IR, the Ed's amp from Rosen Digital Audio, which I think is great. It sounds crystal clear. That was with the drive, by the way. This is just the amp, no drive. Using my Helix effects in here from my LT. The only thing about this rig, which is awesome, is there's a lot of cables back and forth, and I'm essentially running like the 4-cable method or whatever it is to my amp. Yeah, 1 internal, 2 effects sends, and 1 out, right? So. The reason why I like this patch is because when you gain it up a bit, it sounds really good. Yeah, IRs make a super difference, man. Yeah, you should definitely record yourself, man. So the cameras I'm using right now, here I'll just pick it up and show you. This is a Logitech like C, like 920 or something like that. Like the Logitech C920. This is running USB, and I'm running OBS. This right here, this interface right here is OBS. But yeah, what I wanted to show you is this camera right there. So that's just an Aki lens I got from Amazon. That's on top of my camera that I have clipped onto it. See how it's just clipped, that's my wife's makeup studio, by the way, and here we are, like, hey. Yeah, so this is just a Logitech C920, and then the one that's filming me directly is a C922, like I said, with a lens on it, right? So that's all I'm doing here. And I have 2 of them running into my Alienware. So I have the C922 facing me with a lens on it. That's an Aki lens for like $20, $30 Aki lens. It's a wide angle lens, like just so I can get the whole room in the shot, right? Who wouldn't? And then that one is just, I got the one I just showed you that I was using. That was like a $45 camera I got at Best Buy on sale. And then that one right there, the C922, the big one, it has like this chroma thing. I'll show you what you can do with it. It's pretty cool. It's so this is video capture 1. When I go to properties, I can kind of cut myself out using its own software, which isn't the coolest. It's not like the best. I have a green screen right here that I was using. Yeah, see, it doesn't really do a good job. It's like cut me off, and who knows, right? Then it launches all this other software crap. So the C922 and then the C920 are the cameras I'm using, right? And if you think the chroma thing is going to be a good deal for you, then yeah, get the 922. But I'm telling you, it hasn't been a good deal for me, and so I have like no use for it. I should have just got 2 920s. But yeah, that's my setup, right? That's what I'm using to record with. So you see how that works, right? What I'm talking about. Both of them are running USB into my computer, and I'm running OBS, and I've resized the windows. One of them facing my Kemper, the other one facing me, and then with OBS I'm able to capture the desktop, so I have like 3 different things going on here. And then you have the full production, which is the background, me and my amp, and then just a bunch of lights. Lights are a big deal. I got these lights right here that I'm using. These are very important. And then I have my camera. I have a cheap Amazon shotgun mic camera with a pop filter on it. I'm running the camera by itself through a Behringer Xenix Q802 USB, just to give it, power, right? Just to power the microphone, right? To give it sound. And then I'm running all that through to my interface, the Scarlett 18i8, and only 2 channels for some reason work, right? So I got guitar in channel 2 and microphone in channel 1. So it goes microphone into the Xenix, the USB Behringer, and then out to line 1, and then from there, that's summed up with the guitar, which is line 2, and XLR out from my Helix or the Kemper, and then that's literally my rig, right? See how that works? Well, so I don't know if you noticed this, man, but like, this whole thing is on a cart, right? Like I have these 2 studio monitors, JBL LSR, 305s, which were 99 bucks. The Kemper, see, it's all in a cart with a Furman power, conditioner. It's all on a cart, wireless headphone thing. I even have this zip tied to the cart, right? And then on the cart, I have my wireless guitar thing, my Alienware, the computer. And so this thing just rolls around. My living room is literally right there, right around the corner. This apartment doesn't have a room door for this room, and so you can see my Japanese door I have there, like a divider door thing. And so my couch that I sit on is around the corner, and my wife sits on that big red one right there. And so while she's watching House Hunters, I just wheel this cart around with my headphones and the wireless guitar, because my headphones are wireless too. Well, not these are right here. I didn't charge these in time, so they're not charged. They're not running. And so with the Kemper, and that's why you do a Kemper, right? That's why you do a Helix, so you could have wireless everything, and you can play anywhere. And so, like, while my wife's watching House Hunters or some Lifetime crap, and she does puzzles. While she's doing a puzzle, I can sit here and play guitar with my headphones on and not bother her, and she's not bothering me, and we're together. We're sitting together, and this is why I went this route, right, with the whole guitar thing, the whole wireless thing. This is why I walked away from amps to begin with, because it just wasn't working anymore. Like, it just wasn't working. With my previous apartment in Houston, I had my 4x12 in a closet, and microphones running to that little Behringer board you saw there, and then my headphone out, and I was stuck with cables, and I was always stuck to the closet, like being close to the closet, because I had to run my 4x12 in there with all the clothes to dampen the sound, because I live in an apartment. And I don't have to worry about that now. I just play. And for me, that's been a huge boost in my playing, because I'm not that good, I'm like Tone King good at guitar, honestly. And I'm not like digging at Tone King. I'm not talking smack. I'm just saying, Lou probably knows he's not the best guitarist, and I know I'm not either. Just checking my text messages here. Yeah, you can't crank them. Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, so what do you think about the setup, man? You think it's pretty cool? This is my mod. I'm a vapor. I vape. I used to be a smoker for like 20 years. No, 15 years. And I quit smoking 4 years ago by vaping. And this is before the technology got like to this. This is like a touchscreen mod. I work for a vape company called Vape Wild. And we make flavors, and so the flavoring right here that I'm using is one of our flavors. It's waffle blueberry. Such an amazing flavor. It tastes like waffles and blueberry and cream. It tastes like breakfast in your mouth, man, every time you hit it. It's really nice and light. Not super sweet, right? Like Slurpee sweet, but like, fruity sweet, like a soft sweet. Yeah, this apartment that I live in, I don't have a neighbor this way, but I have a neighbor that way and a neighbor that way. So I'm on the 4th floor here, so I don't have anyone above me. I'm the highest floor up. And it's cool having this like wireless guitar thing, because I can sit there on my windows out there, and I got these really big windows. That's one of the main reasons why we got this apartment, is the parking garage and the windows are amazing, and the location. And I can sit there and just like look out, because I have a nature preserve out there that's never going to be developed. So it's just a bunch of trees and trails and stuff like that, and like a creek and a river and a lake. And I can just sit there and just like enjoy playing guitar. That's one of the cool things of like just having like like I said, I don't belong to a church or anything like that. I don't play at a church. I used to back in my high school and early college days, and then like I said, I went to college, and so when you left home, I just never found a church. Man, this blueberry is just totally on fire, man. We were at a party last night. My wife, her sister's husband turned 40, and so they had like a surprise 40th anniversary party there. And man, I tell you what, dude, there were so many people there, and they were in their 30s, later 30s, early 40s, and there were smokers there, right? And so I'm walking around with this really cool vape, this really awesome thing, and I was just, you know, promoting my company, promoting our product, and just trying to tell people, quit smoking, you know, quit smoking, go to this, and then quit this, you know. I just vape because I love this flavor. This blueberry flavor, like if I could get this in a bubble gum or something, man. So some of the other cool things from Namm, goes without mention, is that Chapman UK model, right? The UK models that they made. And okay, look, full disclosure here, I'm not a Chapman fan. I don't like the guy's personality. I love his personality, but I don't like his overuse of humor. I think, you know, I'm a very serious person, very analytical, and, you know, type of person, and I don't have time. Like this is just me talking from the heart. It's one of my faults, okay, socially. I don't have time for people like that. People that are always bantering, and I can't stand them. I can't stand people like that, right? But I do like his guitars. I did play one when I lived in Houston a year ago. I played one of the ML2s, which is the single cut, I believe. And it was one of the first generations of them, right? And I hated that guitar. I thought it was terrible. I'm not trying to be an ass. But the new UK models look dope. And the latest generation of those Chapman guitars look totally awesome. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on like the Bia Signature Series. Bia is a phenomenal guitarist, by the way. Absolutely. His Tosca thing is just wow. Anyways, their UK series, when he announced it, I saw on YouTube. I mean, keep in mind, he's in America, right? I don't know. Is the UK big for, like, UK-made guitars? I couldn't think of a model. I mean, speaking of my ignorance here. And so whenever he was like, we made, you know, the British standard, which is, you know, I totally understand. Like, I felt like the crowd was very underwhelmed. Like, to me, when I think of, like, the highest pinnacle, it's Japanese made or it's American made, right? Am I wrong in thinking that? Like, I think they missed that, right? Like, I don't want a British made guitar. To me, that doesn't speak of like Fender and Gibson quality, like standard, right? And I understand why, because they're promoting their country, they have their own national thing, and their pride in their country. I'm totally down with that, man. You know, I understand. I'm like that too. You know, America, right? But I thought it was funny because it's like, you know, everybody here, you know, here in America at Namm, you know, it's like we're making American-made guitars. It's like, yeah, you know, hell yeah, you know, America dollars, you know, spend American money, right? Like, or shop America, right? That kind of thing. Yeah, America. I just felt like underwhelmed when I saw. I was like, UK guitars, you know, who even cares, you know? But another thing that annoys me about the Chapman line, and I'm not trying to be an ass, and I know it sounds envious, and so be it, is that dude doesn't make guitars. Like, he didn't like start making guitars and like sanding wood and painting and getting it right and going through the, you know, reinventing the wheel. And so to me, a Chapman guitar doesn't mean like, oh my god, it's like a Gibson, and not to say that Gibsons are good or anything, you know. It's like that dude is just jobbing that out. And so he's paying people to make them under his name, which to me sounds like a very not dirty. I don't want to say it sounds dirty, but it just sounds fake, you know. Like I said, I piece together guitars, and at this point of my piecing together, buying a body, buying a neck, sourcing all the electronics and all that stuff, I feel like that's mine. That's my guitar. Even though it's a GFS body, even though it's a Squier neck, even though it's a Wilkinson bridge and Duncan pickups, right, or Dragonfire pickups, I feel like that's my guitar, you know? It's a Belo guitar, right? But I don't even see Chapman doing that, right? He just got people making them for him, and he doesn't, like, I don't feel like the bona fides, you know what I'm saying, man? Like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the bona fides, right? It's like, you didn't make that. You didn't go through the struggles of making something. You just paid someone to do it. And to me, I don't know. I feel like he missed the mark overall as Chapman, and then UK made. Who cares? Seriously, like, if you made USA guitars, then I'd be like, yes, cool, I'm down. Let's do this, you know? But even then, those UK guitars are going to be like $3,000. Dude, I'll buy a Paul Reed Smith. If I had $3,000 to blow on a guitar right now, like, I didn't have to do anything else with that money other than make myself happy, it would definitely be a Paul's guitar. Am I wrong in thinking that? I mean, or it'd be a really totally killer Ibanez. Seriously. or maybe even a really dope fender. Like, if I could get a fender made to my spec, which would be flat radius, my style of pickups, my design, you know. And so about that, right? So Fender released the, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about Chapman. I'm just stating why I'm not on the fence. Why I'm not on Team Chapman here. Why to me it's not like, oh my God, Chapman guitars, right? Why I'm not like running to Rift City to buy one, right? It's just like, and my vendor of choice is always Sweetwater. Sweetwater makes the best attempt to give you the best possible product at the price and all that thing, right? Like Sweetwater is the best. If you buy something from Sweetwater, you're probably not going to get a turd, right? Like I would say 99% accurate that you're not going to get a turd, because I've bought several guitars, and that Helix and that Kemper and that 18i8, a lot of my gear is Sweetwater gear because of the inspection and the comfort in knowing that if it sucks, I can return it, you know, within a certain amount of days, and I'm not screwed. Yeah, like a Sur guitar, right? Yeah. If I had $3,000 to drop on a guitar right this second, it would not be a British standard. Or even if Chapman made American guitars, it wouldn't be a Chapman's, you know, USA standard. It wouldn't be that. If I had $3K to drop on a guitar, $5K to drop on a guitar, it'd be a Paul Reed Smith or a Sur. And most likely it would be an offset, right? And Paul Reed Smith makes that Vela, and I've been so happy and want that guitar. I want a semi-hollow Vela because it's an offset style looking guitar. I really like that. And Fender, they made that Meteora. Did you see the Meteora? Man, that guitar looks amazing. And to me, that's just like, it's a goofy design that I would like, that I'm sure no one else would. I'm looking for the guitar right now. One sec here. And so one of the reasons why I'm such a jerk about Chapman, I'll be honest here, is because I actually like built this guitar essentially. Like I pieced this guitar together. It was one of my first builds. No, Meteor, M-E-T-E-O-R-A, and then Fender, M-E-T-E-O-R-A, Meteora. This is an homage to the original Jackson Roswell Rhodes. And so this is a Randy Rhoads style that's like Meet George Jetson. And Marty Friedman played this back in the 90s, right? On like the Trust album, right? The Hidden Treasures album. He was really, I think there was a video where he was playing this guitar, something like this guitar. And so I built this, and it's not the best, okay? As a labor of love, I built this. This is Corvette paint right here. This is Corvette silver racing paint from an actual Corvette bottle. Cost me like $60 for the bottle. And the guy sprayed it on his guitar for me. And as a labor of love, this was my first guitar that I pieced together myself, and it was not easy. It was very hard. I had tried several necks, and I finally got this neck to be the right one that fit the neck pocket, etc. And this is actually a Dragonfire neck, and I just bought a Jackson logo and threw it on there, right? And so this is why, like, whenever people are like, "Oh my God, Chapman, you know, it's his guitars," it's like, no, it's not his guitars, because he didn't go through the learning curve that I went through when I've made several of these guitars. Now, I made like 10 or 20 guitars now. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm better, or I'm not trying to, please don't think that. What I'm saying is, like, to me, dude, get some tools and some wood and some, you know, a soldering iron, and go make a guitar and then sell it as your name. Otherwise, dude, you're just, what's the difference between that and corporate America? You know, like corporate America is like made in Japan, or not made in Japan, made in China stuff. You know, who cares, right? Anyways, so yeah, the Fender Meteora, I'm probably gonna buy that guitar. I'm probably gonna buy that guitar. And the Vola guitars. Vola has a Vasti. Let's take a look at that. Let's just take a look at that right now. So the Vola Vasti guitar looks so awesome. Vasti, yeah, Vola Vasti. They're made in Japan. They're expensive as hell. And to me, like, this is the exact one that I want right here. This is like a offset Telecaster maple neck ashtray. Jazzmaster looking. That's exactly what I'm talking about, man. Like, that is really cool. That, and then the Fender Meteora. Fender Meteora, right? This is like the style that I like. I've for whatever reason, you know, like I think it was Mick from That Pedal Show when Andrew Tin ran into him at Namm. He was like, "This is the year of the Jazzmaster." Yeah, that's right. Everybody's rocking Jazzmaster right now, right? And this Volavasti and the Fender Meteora are like great interpretations of a Jazzmaster / Telecaster, and that's exactly what I like. You know. I think that looks totally killer. I'm like so like, oh my god about that. You know, I really want that guitar. So did you see anything from Namm that you liked that you were like totally like, oh gosh, I can't wait to get this? We're gonna switch to like this JVM green, yeah. No, orange. JVM channel 2 orange. That's my channel. That's the one. I haven't tried this preset with the IR yet. Yeah, that sounds good. Right off the bat. Hell yeah. Yeah, those Ibanez AZs look so awesome. I really can't wait to get one of those, or at least to try it out. I switched from the IR on the Helix to the IR, which is my Ed's IR on the Kemper. Sounds small though, doesn't it? Does it sound kind of boxy? I'm going to have to learn some more, because like I said, I just imported those IRs into my Kemper this morning. When I changed the bridge on this thing, the guitar changed for the worse, I think. But I couldn't stand the bridge that came with this. What do I have for delay? This is why using a Helix and the Kemper is amazing, because you get the best in amp profiling, amp sim, or whatever you want to call it, just that block amp sim, and then you get the best in effects, right? The effects on the Helix are so awesome. Let's just try no reverb. So this is a JVM patch from, I think Jason is the guy who made this. I got this off the Kemper Exchange. I think it sounds really good. I'm really, really digging on this patch, man. Seriously. Throw some gain on it. That's what it sounds like without any amps, without any gain. Are you saying they're gonna make AZs Indonesian, like my price point, like $700-800 Ibanez's? That's gonna be awesome. Hell yeah, I'm down with that. Why not, right? Let's get a different jam track going on here. Let's go up to another A minor cell track. I need to go to my thing here. Hey, so the audio sounds good, right? It's not clipping or anything? BTP, I just, I'm not trying to sound like a jackass. But you didn't make that guitar. I don't want to hear it. You paid for someone to make it, which is cool. I mean, that's what companies do. They pay people to work, right? Like, in my opinion, you didn't, like, go through all the trouble of getting it wrong. You know, you had someone else do that. Take it easy, Daniel. It's really cool hanging out with you. I was just saying that with the Chapmans, like, he didn't make that guitar. Got a lot of delay going in there. Let's back off the delay a little bit. Yeah, if we could just have this in a Kemper, like the editor. So you asked the question, great question. How is the Kemper through high gain stuff? Dude, it's totally awesome. Like, and so one of the things that I think Helix and everybody else struggles to do is make an authentic high gain sound. Because there's just so much going on there with a real amp, cranked, dimed up, right? Like, I feel like everyone fails at it. So let's go through some patches here. I have like a diesel and a Mesa. This is a Massa. This is probably too loud though. So that's the Mesa running through my IR cab, and then I have this Friedman BEOD, pretty dope sounding. So this is what a Friedman, the profile of a Friedman. Now remember, this is you know, a jazz master, right? So let's throw something else on it, right? Let's see what we can get. I have a 7-string, but I haven't changed the strings in quite some time. And jeez, I'm gonna knock that bass guitar over. Yeah, I have this is a Jackson, like, Tobacco Burst. I don't know what tuning it is. I don't know if it's in tune, so let's just do this together, right? I've never played my this 7-string through my Kemper, so let's just do this together. Let's just see how this goes. What do you think? Now you like the tone, huh? This is a whole step down. It's in D. I haven't played this guitar since I moved from Houston. And it looks like I don't need to make a truss rod adjustment. I moved from Houston to Dallas, which is only like 200 or 300 miles. But there's an elevation change there, and The humidity in Houston's a lot higher. Cool. We're in tune enough. We'll call it that, right? And this is just a cheap. I got this from motherfucking Sweetwater. All right, yeah. The strings are very flubby and the strings are dead. So take that, as, to put that in your pipe and smoke it. Active pickups, huh? And I play a really light gauge of guitar strings, so this sounds super flubby. I'm being honest. This is a flubby sounding guitar because the gauge is wrong for that tuning. Active pickups, right? Let's see. I have some guitars with active pickups. I don't know which ones. What I mean is I don't know if the batteries are dead. Okay, yeah, here we go. Hold up. Yeah. All right. This is a Gibson LPJ in the rubbed chocolate burst, right? And this has EMG 5766 pickups in it, so not as super familiar with Kemper. Yeah, right? I mean, it depends on how you define a good or a bad sound, right? Like everybody's a snob about their tone, and rightfully so, because your tone defines, like what you play and how you feel. So, these strings don't sound too dead. They do sound dead. This might need a truss rod adjustment in the other direction. This guitar is very loud in terms of like just its naked sound. This is a 2013 Gibson LPJ, but like as far as like just strumming this guitar by itself, without not being plugged in, it's just so loud. And the reason why is because it doesn't have a paint job on it. It's just like stained and maybe lacquered, I think. Like it really is like just a piece of furniture. I remember when I bought this, my wife was like, "What? That looks like a piece of furniture." But it's amazing, and it had a different set of pickups in it. And so here we got EMG 5766. Yeah, that's that EMG sound. It's really squawky. Well, this is a Friedman BEOD profile. Let's try a different profile. Let's try, oh jeez, I got cables everywhere. I wanted to show you, let's see. This is HW's Tangerine, like his orange. these are active pickups, and I really kind of have walked away from active pickups. This is why you get a Kemper. So that's the Tangerine. Let's go to, I have another one in here that, yes, the Rev. Wait, don't I have a better version of that Rev? Gmod. Yeah, I think it's this one. This is the better version of the Rev. Running through my IR. Is it? More gain AC twin. Let's make sure I got the right IR in there. Yeah, I got my IR. Cool. All right, here we go. So yeah, this is the Rev, channel 2. These strings are certainly dead. For sure they're dead. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of these pickups. It was one of those things where I thought it was a good idea. Right? You thought it was a good idea to buy these pickups, but I just really haven't, I don't know. This guitar is amazing, and the original pickups that came with it made this guitar sound like a god, which were like Burstbucker Pro 3s, right? Hold up. Put this back up. Give me 1 second. Let me put this up and get another Gibson. All right. So this is like my my wedding guitar. When my wife and I got married, you know, as a guitar collector, you know, you mark momentous events in your life with guitar purchases, and this was one of them. It cost me $1,000 or so. I got it from Sam Ash in San Antonio, Texas. This is a Gibson Les Paul Studio. I believe it's a 2012. And this is when Gibson had gotten rated, right? I think when they, like one of the first times when they got rated or whatever, they didn't have. Was it ebony? Yeah, they didn't have ebony because the feds had seized their ebony. And so what they did is they made different necks, and this is a Granadillo fingerboard, for this year. So this year has a Granadillo fingerboard, and it sounds really good. And these pickups are the pickups that came out of my gold top Gibson, which is over there in the corner. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a gold top way over there. These are the original pickups from that guitar. So these are. That's not all in tune yet. So anyway, so yeah, this guitar I haven't really touched since I moved from Houston either. On the dead scale, these are like maybe 7 dead out of 10. 7 out of 10 deadness. But it looks like I got a big one on the neck, on the bottom. These aren't active pickups. These are just like whatever they put in the LPJs in 2013, because this is what came in that gold top. Let's throw some gain from the Kemper on. What do you think about this guitar, man? weight relief, so it's really hollow all around it, man. It's really cool. Yeah, I like the way it sounds. It sounds really good. Yeah, you know, Gibson guitar, right? Dead strings. I really like this patch a lot, this preset. Yeah, sounds really good. Love it. For me, to my ear. Even though it's way out of tune. These strings are so dead and just stretched in the wrong sort of way, man. Yeah, I just stretched them. And there's black tips on my fingers now because, you know, the rust. Always that damn G string. When I was pulling this guitar off the wall, I was thinking about the new Paul Reed Smith. What amp is that? The Mark Tremonti amp, little lunchbox head, rightfully priced at like the sub $800 mark. Great sounding and looking at, man. Totally awesome. In orange with the Brett Hines model and the rocker. I don't know what they're gonna cost. Excuse me. I don't know what those are gonna cost, but. If they're priced below $1,000, those would also be, you know, really good priced amps. But like that, like I said, that Paul Reed Smith, what's it called, the Mark Tremonti amp. I would like to try that amp, really. This Gibson has like a wood grain. That's really, really just amazing. It has has artifacts in the wood, and to me, that's something I was really looking for when I was looking for a tobacco burst Gibson. I didn't want a paint job. I wanted like a stain job, right? And that's what this is. Let's hear what this sounds like in a jam track. So we'll turn the gain off. Having problems keeping this thing in tune. The strings are so old. In this year, when they made this studio, the neck profile is very thin. It's very familiar to you Ibanez players. It's very thin. The board is very straight and very flat. And so when I bought this guitar, it was like, yeah, that's my Gibson. That's the Gibson I like. All right, back to the jam track. This guitar sounds amazing, and that profile right there, that Rev Generator 120 Channel 2, is one of my favorite profiles because, like, in the mix, and I'm not, like, mixing anything here, right? So it's not like I have a DAW opening and I've got, you know, all this EQing going on. It's just my guitar plus a jam track over the internet, go, right? Like, in that context, this sounds so good, right? I just love the way the Rev Generator as a profile comes together, right? Like, it just... I want to hear that sounds with my Helix IR, the same IR, the Eds amp. Let's open the Kemper editor, and I want to hear what. I don't know if it will do this because I have it set to override several of the effects buttons or whatever. Let's go to Rev. It's called Rev 2V's Gen. Rev Gen. Okay, let's see what we can find in the exchange, that is. That's the cool thing about this whole Kemper thing, right? You just go to the rig exchange, and there they are. So this is, okay, so there's channel 3. Here we are in channel 3. I don't know what it's doing for an IR. Ooh, yeah, it's using my... I like that, man. Yeah, dude. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, so that's the Rev 3, and I think it sounds really, really good, man. I'm like totally digging. That's what I was saying about, like, using that EQ right there. So, back to Namm 2018, one of the things I want to talk about also is, like, FRFR, right? Like, so HeadRush created the new FRFR, like, what is it, a couple hundred watts or something like that, 500, 600 watt. Let's actually Google it, right? So the HeadRush FRFR, I pre-ordered mine from Sweetwater a couple days ago, so it'll be coming in March, I think. And so I'll be using that instead of my two stereo, my two JBL SR things. So yeah, here's the new HeadRush FRFR, 2000 watt, 1x12 for $299, right? Like, That's a great price, and it's going to be big. I mean, for sure, that's not going to be a small little cab. That's going to be a big damn cab. But it's going to be worth it because it's designed specifically for us, right? And the price is where, you know, like this, everybody's going to have this. Everybody who has a Kemper, who has a Helix, who has an Axe-Fx, everyone's going to be rocking the FRFR, even if they're using it for a personal monitor on a stage, like at a church or something like that or whatever. That's going to be the go-to cab. You'll be seeing everybody with that. I'll have one, and if I like it, I'll buy a separate one, and we'll have a stereo setup. Wow. I think I'm running that tape echo from Helix. Yeah, transistor tape. And then I like the elephant. I'm a big fan of the elephant. I'm going to save that. I'm going to keep that on my board. All right, so store as. Cool. Saved it to my presets. So yeah, getting a rig that doesn't suck is simply that easy, right? Like you saw what I just did. I literally just went and typed in RevGen. It's the author is Warm Chord Music, so cool. Thanks, Warm Chord Music. Love the way this thing sounds. Sounds good. So, all right. Yeah, it's just us, man. There really isn't anyone here. It's just us hanging out. I think I'm like the only one who's in here still, so it's all good. You know, no big deal. I think the highest I had was 5 people. Not a big deal. Resolution, check resolution. Yeah, it's telling me to check resolution. What does it say? Cool. Good stuff. We'll be going on for an hour and 45 minutes. All right, still back to jam track. Let's go back to it. good, man. Totally good. Yeah, that is gravy. And like, these pickups aren't like the best pickups out there. These strings are absolutely dead, and it's a Gibson guitar from 2012. And in my opinion, it doesn't sound bad at all. Track. Let's see what's going on there. Hypnotic rock ballad, huh? Yeah, I've used this one before. Just kind of going over the chart. Yeah, man. Pretty cool patch. A little bit on the gainy side, but like, guitar's way out of tune now. Anyways, so hey, it's been pretty cool hanging out. You know, we've been here for 2 hours, and you know, if you stuck through with this, I appreciate it. You know, as you know, YouTube has changed the whole monetization thing going forward here in mid-February. So, you know, if you like hanging out with me, you know, give me a subscribe. I'm trying to move my content into more live stream application. And so my goal is to do like maybe 1 or 2 live streams a month. And, you know, it's all good, man. You know, like, no pretensions here, just a real normal, all right guitarist, right? And, you know, beginner to advanced level guitarist, and just kind of hanging out. And so no strings attached, no drama, you know. I'm not going to like kick you out of my channel or anything like that, you know, like some people do. Let's just hang out and, you know, throw me a like, throw me a subscribe if you're down, dude. Let's hang out for sure. That's been pretty much this video. Just wanted to talk about some of the cool things that I had on my radar at Namm. And so at the very end, I just want to mention, you know, the elephant in the room, a Kemper player here, me. And there's been no Kemper announcement for 2018. I'm not mad. The Kemper is perfect as it is. And if you use stuff to your advantage, like having a Helix FX or a Helix LT like I do, you can get all of your editor problems solved. And so it just, you know, sometimes to get the solution, you have to think outside of the box. And, you know, talking about the Kemper here, the Kemper by far is the most advanced and true, honest, and best sounding amp modeler, profiler, sim out there. And so the task is to treat it like an amp, okay? Run 4 cable method into your Helix or to the new Helix effects coming out, or whatever thing you got going on, and use that as your integrated editor platform, as I have here with my Helix, right? And so like I said at the beginning of the video, my Kemper is just an effects loop, in and out, out and in, right? And I'm running the Helix all around it, before it and after it, to do everything I need. So that gives me a floor pedal, because I don't have the Kemper floor pedal thing. It gives me an editor. It gives me control. Everything I need, right? Just, I mean, like, do you really need 50 amp sims to complete a gig? Do you really need 50 amp sims in my context to do a live stream? No. Maybe like 2 or 5 at the most, right? Honestly, like I went through like maybe 5 or 6 of them here with you just because we're hanging out. But in reality, if I'm sitting there on my couch, I don't need the Kemper to do anything other than make amp sim, and my Helix and editor for Helix do everything else for me. So I'm not mad at Kemper, because let's face it, they got a lot to come up. The bar has been set really high with Helix, right? And even some would argue with HeadRush being touchscreen, the bar has been set even higher, right? And I'm not a HeadRush fan. I've listened to it. I don't like the way it sounds, but I'm sure the interface is cool, right? In fact, okay, true story. I was at Guitar Center one day with my father-in-law buying strings for me and showing him the ropes at beginner guitar and what it looks like. And we happened to mosey around the corner. This was a Guitar Center in Plano. And these 2 older dudes, these old rockers, were trying to sell this kid a HeadRush. And they couldn't get any sound out of the HeadRush at all. Guitar was plugged in, guitar was on, you know, everything was correct. I touched the lead, we switched guitars, couldn't get any sound out of it. And I was like, hey dude, there's an LT under it, Helix LT under, you know, all the amp modeler rack stuff. I was like, hey man, why don't you just plug in the LT? I have one of these, and I can show this customer really quickly how to get a good tone. And I did that. And the guy who actually worked there at Guitar Center, because I don't work at Guitar Center, he was like, dude, thank you so much. You know, oh my God, you just like totally saved my ass, because he was going to lose that sell. And he did sell the Helix LT. Right there and then, he sold it based on what I was showing that customer how to use this thing, right? And so for me, you know, sure, the HeadRush looks awesome, but I just don't think it's at the level of quality based on my experience, my singular experience, that it didn't work at Guitar Center. It was plugged in, it was on, the guitar was plugged in, the speakers were plugged, everything was plugged, everything worked. We switched to guitars and there was no tone. There must have been something in the presets or in the back-end configure files or something like that, the global settings that was preventing it from making tone. Because like I said, when I pulled the guitar plug out and touched it, you could hear the ground, you know, the ground sound. So the guitar lead was fine. Everything was fine. There's something wrong with it. So I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm just saying, get yourself a Kemper, get yourself a Helix FX, the Helix FX, and use that as your editor interface for everything. If you're that mad at Kemper, I'm not mad at Kemper. I think Kemper has made the best product out there, and everybody else is scrambling to catch up. And no one sounds even close to the Kemper, okay? I'm not being paid to say this. I bought this amp myself, paid it off, everything. The $15.99 I got this amp for because it was a display model. It was a scratch and dent model. I got a good deal for it. Instead of paying $17.99, I paid $15.99. Paid it off. I own this with my own cash. I actually sold guitar pedals and amps to recoup the cost for that, right? So I bought that on my Sweetwater card. And then I just made a Facebook group, on the Facebook Marketplace and started selling pedals and amps. And I sold 2 or 3 amps and about 10 or 15 pedals. And right then and there, I had all the money I needed to pay off my Sweetwater, thing. So I bought it on the 5th, and then I paid it off on the 28th, right? And so this is all me. I paid for this. No one gave me this. No one, there's no advertisement here. I'm just telling you from my experience. I have amps. I sold amps. I've had amps. I have real amps. I have real pedals. And I'm selling everything because I don't need it. The Kemper does it all for me. And the Helix does even more. Not on the amp sim side. The Helix amp sims suck. Just being honest, all right? I'm just being honest, right? And this is why you want to subscribe and hang out with me, because I'm always going to be honest. Because why? I pay for this shit. And I would hate for someone to go out there and buy something that sucks and be like, man, that dude Bilo sucked. He lied to me. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I tried out a Chapman guitar at Guitar Center. I hated it. I know it was the first generation of them. Cool. I'm just telling you, I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. And had I bought that guitar over the internet and it came to me like that for $7.99, I would have been so pissed off. I would have felt robbed, right? And then my experience with the HeadRush, nope. And I don't like the Axe Effects. I think the Axe Effects is a great product, though. Don't get me wrong. It's obviously stood the test of time, as the Kemper is now, right? But I'm just not down with it. I'm not interested in it. You know what I mean? There's other things out there like the Kemper. The Kemper is an actual amp profile, not a sim. And so, like I said at the very beginning, you got to get your vocabulary straight, man. Let's understand and define the terms before we move forward. When we're talking about a profiler, modeler, or whatever you want to call this technology, digital amp something, you have sims, which are created and modeled, and someone's idea of what a Marshall or a Fender sounds like, or whatever amp he is modeling sounds like. And then you have Kemper, which is like on its own island. And they profile the amp. They actually run sounds through a real, in this case, I'm running a Rev Generator 120. Someone ran sounds through a Rev Generator 120 and then created the profile, and here we are. I'm playing it. And so for the $1,500 I paid for this Kemper, there's thousands of amp profiles out there, all kinds of amps profiled, and more are coming from people like Tone Junkies, right? And the Amp Factory and Michael Britt Profiles. So what I'm saying is, I'm someone who likes amps. I'm someone who doesn't like spending a lot of money on amps. So like, with the total amount of amp sims I have, amp profiles I have in my Kemper right now, that's easily like approaching $100,000. I ain't got that kind of money. But I did have $1,500 on credit that I bought and then sold a bunch of pedals. Like within 3 days, I was like, yep, this is it. I sold pedals and amps and just all kinds of guitar equipment that I'm never going to use because I have the Kemper now, right? There is nothing for me in terms of analog tube out there. Like, yeah, like I was saying earlier, the new Paul Reed Smith Mark Tremonti amp, I'm sure it's going to be a badass amp. I'm sure it's going to be totally awesome. I live in an apartment. I can't turn that up, and it doesn't work for me, right? But when someone profiles that damn thing and puts it on the Kemper, you can bet your ass I'm going to download that profile and pay money for it if I have to pay money for that profile, and I'm going to enjoy it in a peace and quiet of my own home with my headphones on, and that'll be it. And any other amps that come out, the sky's the limit. I'll just download them and play them, and I'm totally cool with that, dude. Like, there's no reason for me ever to go buy gear other than guitars now, right? And that's the cool thing, right? Because my amp thing has been solved, and so all I have to do now is just buy guitars. That makes my life easy, right? Because there's plenty of guitars out there. Case in point, the one on the screen right there, the really awesome Meteoria, great looking guitar. Can't wait to get it. And then the Vola Vasti, right? Can't wait to get that guitar either, man. And this HeadRush speaker thing, can't wait to get that. Definitely got that on order. Pre-order from Sweetwater, $2.99. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. They'll be out like in March or April. I imagine I'll probably have it at my house in April, and that'll be perfect for my Kemper, man. And like if I ever had to like play, like, I mean, I don't. I'm not in a band. I don't go to a church. I'm not part of a church group or anything like that. I will just use my HeadRush FRFR into my Kemper and call it a day. Literally, like that's all I will need. I probably won't even need my Helix effects, my Helix LT. And like that simplifies your rig. You got your guitar on your back with a gig bag. You've got your Kemper in a, you know, like a luggage bag, you know, like the Kemper bag. I don't have it. I'm going to buy it. And then you got your FRFR on the other hand. That's everything you need right there. That's your entire rig, right? Cables and everything included in the boxes and the bags and everything. And like I don't have to carry these big 4x12s. I sold a Bugera 4x12 cabinet that I bought like in 2012 or 13. And that thing was huge. It was an oversized cab. Oh my God, it was huge. And when I moved from Midland to Houston, oh my God, it was so big. I had to carry it upstairs. And when I moved from Houston to Dallas, oh my God, it was so big. I had to carry it down the stairs. And then when I sold that son of a bitch 4 or 5 days ago for $75, because it was taking up too much space. It was too big, and I got my Kemper. I don't need a cabinet. I don't need a 4x12 cab because I already have a Marshall, a smaller Marshall MG 4x12, loaded with Celestion vintage 30s, loaded with a green back and a cream back, and then a Eminence Patriot Cannabis Rex. Like I have a 4x12 for these amps that I'll be playing, you know, if I ever need to, like my Vox or my PV or my Black Star or my 2 Marshalls over here, right? Like I'm getting rid of gear and I don't need gear, but I'm going to keep, like I said, the Vox, the 65, and then that 4x12 and probably get rid of everything else. I don't need anything else because my Kemper does everything for me. And so that's been this video, man. We were hanging out talking about Namm, talking about some of the cool stuff that was on my radar. And then we've been hanging out with the Kemper inside of the Helix, which has been so awesome and so cool. The only downside is like it's a lot of cables, right? So you're running guitar in, send out to Kemper in, out Kemper to return in to Helix, and then Helix out to interface into computer, right? That's been this video, guys. I really enjoyed hanging out. Probably going to give it a week before I do another one of these. So today's the 28th. Probably do another one on the 9th. February 9th, we'll probably do another live stream. So, hey man, stay tuned. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and I might make a couple of videos in between now and then. But for now, next live stream, we'll shoot for, you know, probably February 9th. I'll do an update video between now and then. That's been this video, man. I really would like it if you guys subscribed. I need subscribers. I need to get up to 1,000 so I can keep my monetization. And if not, then, you know, it's cool. I'll still be here. It's all good. And I just won't be getting paid for it. But it's not like you get paid much anyways. People at my level, you know, you're like $100 every 5 months, you know. Not a big deal. All right, guys. I'll catch you later. I'll have videos between now and the next live stream on February 9th. And you guys be safe. And we'll see you then. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Bye.